More than 35% of Americans are obese. 50% are either diabetic or pre-diabetic. 80% of urine tests in the United States have shown positive for glyphosates. That is the active ingredient or the carcinogen found in Roundup. A third of that 80% is from children. Food prices have risen more than 10.8% in the last year. Beef prices is up over 20%. Inflation is historic highs, 40-year historic highs. Fuel prices, we're just in a mess. And we look at the freedoms that we have in this country and we're going, what happened? Do we truly have those freedoms anymore? What are we looking at? What we're looking at, increased taxes, increased costs, incompetent political leadership. I mean, it's just, and they know they failed. It's like it was, without the tinfoil hat, it was almost like it was designed to happen this way. The Fed, these people that are put in these positions because of their knowledge and their experience, completely failed. There were tons of people saying, you can't do this, this is not going to work. And it led to what we're at now. And what they're doing now is not helping the situation, it's only going to make it worse. So where do our freedoms really lie? I don't think they lie where we thought they did, and I don't think we have near the freedoms that we thought we had. Now, behind me, this is the rabbit enclosure that we're going to be making. So this is all locally sourced rough cut lumber. Some of it's stained, some of it's not. I built it right here on a slope into the wood line, so the rabbits will have shade most of the day. They'll have a little bit of western exposure, or southeastern exposure, but not too much. But we're getting ready to put the purlins on the top of this if we can avoid the rain, and then get the roof panels on it. And yes, these will be chopped off, so those are not going to stay there. And then we'll use standard field fence or square fence to close this in. There'll be some 2x4s that go on the side here and down at the bottom, and we'll attach the fence to that. That way they have continuous airflow. In the wintertime, I can drape some tarps over the ends of it and block that airflow. Rabbits are cold hardy, so I'm not too worried about that. Now, just as an example of freedoms, this being one of them, because this is going to allow us to raise, reproduce, process, and eat meat from our own farm, from our own homestead. What we just did last weekend with the 75 meat chickens. Now, we did the same thing with them. We raised them, we processed them here, they're in our freezers. The only thing about that is I had to source those, and would have to continue to source those from a commercial hatchery. Well, that's why we took this step. That's why we went with the American Bress, because these are a dual purpose bird that we can raise and reproduce right here on the farm. We can incubate the eggs, we can eat the eggs, we can build our own flock. That's exactly why we went with the Delaware broiler as well, another dual purpose bird, that we can eat the eggs and eat the birds. And we don't have to go to an outside factory or an outside hatchery anymore. We had to initially, but we don't have to in the future. And we can keep these bloodlines purebred, or we can cross them and see what we end up with. Now, I'll give you two examples here. The coffee that I drink, it's Gevalia, if you've heard of that. And the reason I started drinking it, it was one of the very few coffees that didn't make my reflux worse when I had reflux. That's before I learned more so than what I was practicing there. So I developed a taste for it, and that's why I've continued to drink it. Last year, a 20-ounce bag of Gevalia house blend coffee was $8.48. The wife just went to Walmart the other day. It's $13 for a 20-ounce bag now. Almost $5 increase in a year. The second thing is a West Virginia company. These are and we normally wouldn't buy preformed beef patties. We just get loose ground beef and make our own. But this was a West Virginia company, and it is 100% pure beef with a little butter patty on top of it. Buzz buttered steaks. Been in business in West Virginia since the 1950s. Highly popular among a lot of the Italian restaurants and stuff, in this region because what we've come to understand is that they use those as part of their Giovanni sandwich. So being a low carb guy and my kid being a carnivore like she is, she's crazy with that stuff, the little girl is. We would buy them $6.99 for a box of 6 preformed patties, and they're square patties with a little pat of butter on top of it. So $6.99 for a box of 6. $10 now in less than 5 months. So from $6.99 to $10, $9.89. So there you go. So and there's been nothing changed. This company's been in business since 1950 right here in West Virginia. Nothing has changed. Their popularity has not went through the roof. Nothing. I mean, there's no reason to explain the price increase other than the inflation that we're facing. So they say, what, 9.1% inflation rate? That's our current rate. It's historical for like the last 40 years or whatever. Fuel prices, we all know what those are doing. So are we really free when we look at things like that? Do we truly have the freedoms that we thought we had? Well, here's some more freedom. The freedom to grow, and these are just some extra peppers and tomatoes. These are later planted cucumbers that are coming up, another tomato plant. This is cabbage. Head's coming on really nice. That is cauliflower. These are beans, bush and pole, and cucumbers. Same on both sides. We use 2 cattle panels to trellis. And when you get in here, we've got broccoli, we've got cucumbers, got more cucumbers coming on. And with the broccoli, the Japanese beetles are tearing it up. So we're going to have to get the organic treatment out here. Then over here, more peppers and a variety of tomatoes. In today's world, in our global supply chain, in our global food market, in our corporate run country, in our corporate run food system, we are told by these corporate paid and employed scientists that these foods are safe and these foods are healthy. They're part of a healthy diet. But yet we are at record obesity rates, we are at record diabetes rates, and we're continuing to eat these foods. Bless you. So record disease rates, record chronic disease rates, terrible life expectancies. There are places around the planet called blue zones. These blue zones are areas that's been identified as having the highest population, and it's really hot and humid in today. So they have the highest population of people over the age of 100. They also have the highest population with the least amount of heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, all these other chronic diseases that we face every day in America. And these places go everywhere from Loma Linda, California, to South America, to Okinawa, Japan, to over in like Spain and parts of Europe and everything. And what is the key? What's the secret to all of that? And there really is no secret. Even if you look at where these places are located and the food availability to them, of course, the food choices are different. So, they have different food choices, like more seafood at one, more fresh fruits and vegetables year-round at the other, da-da-da-da. So you take all that into consideration, and there's really not that much difference in the availability of the foods. But there's 4 key things to pay attention to with those. And every one of them, no matter where these blue zones are located around the globe, there are 4 key things to consider that all tie in. And number 1, all of their food either comes from right there at their home where it's grown, or it's purchased from local farmers right there in their area. Number 2, these people stay active. Well into their older age, they stay active. Number 3, they eat their food and prepare their food at home. They don't go to restaurants, they don't go to fast food, they don't get takeout pizza. All of their food is made at home that's either grown or purchased from right there. And number 4, the love of their family. They keep close to their families. They stay with their families. They have extended families all right there, right in that area, or right in the same home. And they love each other. They watch out for one another. They help each other, and they take care of each other. Now that happens across every blue zone around the planet. And look at us in America. Now, Loma Linda being the only place, of course, that we have in the United States. But if you look at these folks, they have access to state-of-the-art fitness facilities, state-of-the-art food preparation. They have year-round fresh fruits and vegetables and all that other stuff. And a lot of these places are retirement communities where they have health professionals caring for a lot of these folks. So, it's kind of a little bit of a stretch when you look at the rest of the planet, the rest of the blue zones around the world. So, are we doomed to live the average lifespan that we live here in America? Are we doomed to have diabetes? Are we doomed to have heart disease, high blood pressure, and everything like that? Well, coming from somebody who had high blood pressure, who had an ulcer back in 1997, ended up in the hospital for a week, who's had reflux since well before 1997, up until last year when I changed my diet. And I changed with what I had learned by not looking at mainstream government recommendations. I changed based on emerging science from people who also face those same kind of problems. And I am no longer, for more than a year now, not on blood pressure medicine. I'm not on reflux medicine. So this is another step. This is another step. The chickens are a step. The garden is a step. Now, we've had gardens for a couple years now, but not to the size that we're growing this year. And we're growing it to produce as much more for ourselves as we can. So when we look at our freedoms in America, we think of the Bill of Rights: freedom of speech, right to bear arms, right to remain silent, self-incrimination, search and seizure. We have the freedom to grow our own food. We have the freedom to choose whether we're going to continue to follow the corporate, dangerous, unhealthy, poisonous supplies that they're putting out there for us. The same bad advice that their scientists on their payrolls being paid to make the data how they want it to look, to make their highly refined, unhealthy product look to be like the healthiest on the planet. So with everything else going on, our society is just in a shambles. You cannot sit back. If you've been on this planet for 20 years or more, you cannot look back and look around you and say, nothing's changed. Everything has changed, and everything's continuing to change. And it's not all for the better. You would think at this point in our society, the history of our country, we would be healthier. We're worse. The only thing that keeps us alive is the amount of pharmaceuticals that's pumped into us. and I laugh at that, as the irony of that is, we're not healthier because we've practiced better health, we've practiced better food choices. We're living longer because of, artificial pharmaceuticals with tons of their own side effects and problems. So freedom, this is my freedom. This is my family's freedom. The ability to do this, the ability to raise our own food, the ability to make the choices and follow through with raising and producing our own food here as much as we possibly can. I'm going to always encourage you guys, everybody, if you've never considered this, sirens carry a long ways in the hollow. So if you hear that in the background, that's probably about every bit of a mile down the hollow, but he'll be coming up through here pretty soon. So, we have those choices and we need to follow through with those. And I'm going to always encourage you, and I'm going to highly encourage you more, is to look at what we're facing today with food prices, inflation, just the idea that we are one of the most unhealthiest societies in the world, but yet we're being told to eat ways and to eat foods that are not healthy. So with that, I'm going to tell you, look at what you can do for yourself, pursue that, build that, grow that, raise that, process that, can that, preserve that, and eat that. All of it, as much as you can. Get away from foods that comes in boxes. Get away from pre-prepared meals that come in freezer bags. Get away from all of that stuff. Do what you can for yourself and your family, and make sure that the food that you're eating is clean, has the best life of your animals, has the best life that it could possibly have by free ranging, by being on grass in a natural environment for that animal. Make sure it's processed humanely. Make sure it's fed properly before it's processed. Make sure you learn how to process those animals humanely and properly. And feed your family good, clean, wholesome, nutritious foods, rather than what we continue to get pushed on us as healthy and safe by corporations, corporate factory farms that have scientists on their payroll to make the data appear how they want it to appear. Again, get prepared and stay prepared. Get your butt to growing, get your butt to raising, and start getting that food out of your own yard. Take care, and God bless.